Do we want to discuss sprinklers?
Sure.
Because, we've received some information that it could be cost prohibitive.
All right, can I do it, can I just, I want
Why
to
don't
save
you
you,
do
Mr.
that?
Hughes. You just help me when I start to get this wrong, all right? So the sprinklers have more, it's kind of more than one story. It's the kind of the tale of two cities in a lot of ways, right? Tale of two towns, because we have the $250,000 that we have for the Danville sprinkler. So I'll start with that, even though we're talking about the Sandown consolidation, because it is important to, it's a similar project, if you will, and this has been budgeted for. So, we had plans, we thought there was a certain amount of money, right? So this works the opposite way than the transformers, right? So we budget a certain amount of money, and the plans come in. And so I meet with the, what are they, the architects, the planners, whatever they are, and so they come in and they say, we had to make some changes to the plans. I only cared about three things. I made this very, very simple for myself. Tell me it's not an eyesore, tell me it costs less, and tell me it's more efficient. Open the envelope, please. That's all it was, right? That's what I told them. They wanted to talk about so the original plans were a lot more than the 250. They were up, and I tried to press him for a number, and it was about $800,000, right? And this was going to be less expensive. So when I heard less expensive, I was thinking, wow, it's not even going to be 250. It might only be 150. And so that sprinkler system came in at $655,000 for Danville. To which I asked the most logical question next, Mr. Hughes, please get me a number for Sandown, we're gonna be discussing that, right, which he did. And I sent that to you. And you saw that number is 521, right? There's a sprinkler system, it's just a sprinkler system. There's no pump, there's no, that was the additional costs. And so the sprinkler system was about 260, but when we added up all the numbers, that came out to be about 521, correct?
Yes.
So we're looking at a
With
number.
water.
What?
With water.
With water and pressure.
Oh, they gotta put water in it.
To, at least one person said, to my understanding, a sprinkler system wouldn't be any good without water and pressure, right? So, we kinda needed those things. So, not to be sarcastic about it, but I mean, it's twice what we thought it was gonna cost. So, whiplash the other way, we sometimes, and I, it's hard, Mr. Hughes, we're hitting him, asking him for all these numbers, for all these different things, and, he was surprised, we were all surprised, and not pleasantly surprised. So that's the number for the sprinkler system, is 521, as we speak. So I don't know if you needed more than that. That's how simple I made it, really,
Does Mrs. Green?
So how did we ever get the number of 250?
To put sprinklers in that building, it would cost us $250,000. To make it functional, we need a pumping system, a tank cistern to hold all the water, a way to pump it, a building to contain it, and that brings the cost up to $655,000.
So
And
where
we're
did the
also putting
200
sprinklers in an existing building, which is very difficult.
Okay, it doesn't quite answer my question, though. When this original idea was floated that the sprinklers needed to be installed in Sandown Central and in Danville, and there was a motion at deliberative to fund, $250,000 to put them in, where did that $250,000 number come from? Where? Who's taking responsibility for that number? I'd like to know.
All right, Perry Mason, that's enough.
No, it is a serious issue because we have a big public concern now that we cannot satisfy because of an expense. And it is a huge problem. And I would like to understand where that $250,000 number came from in the first place that so misled us and the public.
So that number came up as a motion made by a board member at deliberative session.
For
The
Danville.
number was wrong for Danville, thank you. It was a mistake, and it's as simple as that, and everyone sitting at this table understands that. But for some reason, Mrs. Green, you need to pound away at that, which once again, I find to be, we understand we have a problem. Bids, to Dr. Metzler's point, sometimes you come up with a budget number, and the bids come in, I'll use the old Lawrence High School restoration project. They came in millions of dollars over budget. Those things happen when you follow this process. And the process is very standard. You go out, you get an estimate, and then you, later on, once it gets approved, you put it out to bid. And sometimes the bids come in where you want them to, and sometimes they come in way over where you want them to.
Well, thank you. I wasn't aware of that ever. I never
Super.
read a newspaper article to that effect.
Super.
Now, the thing is, how many estimates did we get on this project? So we have, more than $500,000. We have $655,000 on a school building. How many estimates does that number reflect?
Well, there's a difference between an estimate and a bid, as you know, right? So the bid is like, and I don't even know if we got one bid, right?
You got
So I don't
one
even
bid,
know, I don't know
another
what that
con-
number means. And, you get, some people come in and say, you can't put the tank there, you have to put it over there. And then somebody else comes and goes, it can't go there, it has to go underground. I'm like,
Okay.
I don't know,
but
I'm not an expert, and
how many estimates, how many bids?
we got one bid.
Two companies come out and look at it, and one company decided they didn't want to bid on it.
One
You're
bid.
gonna get more bids?
What's that?
You're gonna get more estimates or?
I'm not required to. I'm required to post it, and it's not fair to people that bid on
Yeah,
projects.
but that's the process.
That's the process. I follow the process.
Mr. Collins has been wanting to speak. May I let him jump in?
Yeah, I mean, I think at that amount of money, it is prohibitive at this time. And I think maybe we should talk about either budgeting for it, starting in the fall, or putting it on as a warrant article.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
we-
Yeah.
half and half for
And-
some
and-
capital reserve.
I understand the concern, and there's a safety element to that, but I think that we have been in this district for 50 years, and I don't think we've had a fire in a school yet, knock on wood. Hopefully that continues, and hopefully, we're in good shape, but I do think it needs to be addressed. I just don't think it's, at this time.
Yeah.
I agree.
I'd love to see it as a warrant article
So,
for both schools.
I've heard from, a lot of people in the public, because I know in the past we've tried not to put safety issues on the article, in an article on the warrant. And I've been assured that we need to trust the public that if we were to do it, that they would support it.
Yeah, and I thought it was explained to us that it's not a safety issue, that we would get the children out, but it would be about saving the building.
Yeah, I mean, anything that could be connected, I'm with you, it's not a safety issue, but it's a
Okay.
safety, I think it's in the safety, it's kind of in the
All right.
safety world, wouldn't you say, It's saving the building, and certainly the firefighters, but I think it's also important, the Sandown reps, we tried to budget for this, both Sandown reps voted against this. Arthur Green, when he was on the budget committee, and Kathy Gorman both voted against this. They represent Sandown. I mean, that was the vote, and if they had voted the other way, it would have been budgeted for.
250,000 would have been budgeted for, and we'd still be in the same position. If I could, the fire chief recommended that perhaps we could look at a cistern, installing a cistern in the area so that there would be a secondary water source for the pumpers. And this would alleviate the need, perhaps, for the sprinklers. So because actually, he gave me the original, this is actually of interest to you, Mr. Hughes, because I have the architect's memos where it says that there would be a cistern installed on the property for a secondary water source, and that never happened. It also, interestingly, on this document, said that a steel stud wall was replaced in the designs by a masonry unit, which is interesting because that didn't happen either. So those two things in that architect's memo, which I should give you, which predate you, of course, never happened. So instead of thinking that we need to necessarily budget for sprinklers, we might just be looking at installing a cistern on the property.
Why don't you pass the memos that you have to Mr. Hughes, and he can evaluate them. But if this is new information, this might not be the time to evaluate that. I'm sure he would love to see that data, and we can take it from there.